By the explanation between full shot and an approach shot. So we got what, 35 meters here, 30 meters. Yeah. The big differences we want to have as far as controlling distance, because the hard part obviously with these is when you go, at the moment you've gone for same stance width, and the only way you're slowing down is just through shorter swing and kind of decelling or slowing your speed, which is obviously giving you massive strike issues, and then you've got no distance control. So first big adjustment is with the stance. You want to really knock that down. So it's going to be about just enough to fit a club head in between. And that can be the same all the way up to sort of 60 meters, 60 yards. What that does is it automatically controls. You can only swing so fast keeping your balance. So it allows you to feel like you're being aggressive with your hands like this, where as soon as you get longer, you're going to have a lot more potential stored energy, and then it's really hard to actually control that. The next thing is, especially with these ones, getting low point after the ball is everything. You've got to get good strikes. So that's number one. And then as you're going back, your pressure is going to be pretty balanced, 50-50. And then as you're going back, we want to feel like the pressure is getting lead side and your left shoulder is getting lead ahead of the ball. So everything at the top of your backswing for these pitch shots is ahead of the golf ball. What that does is guarantees ball first strike, which is the key, right? You want to have that lovely sort of clicking noise. So narrower stance, pressure gets forward, and then you have that lovely clicky noise, which obviously gives you nice consistent strike, and then you can start to, from there, control swing length and distance. Once you've got strike the same, then you can start to go, okay, I want to hit this one 28 meter carry. So the swing at backswing only has to be to here somewhere, but I know I'm going to have a consistent strike, so then it's going to be a lot easier to gauge everything. Narrow stance, pressure, it's going to come out. You're going to at least have the same clicky ball first strikes, then you start to have some idea of what's going on. That's the sort of big first challenge, right? Pressure, through. At least then you're going to have some consistent strike, and you can start to gauge how hard to hit it, because you'll be hitting it relatively the same every time, ball first. Because you can't be playing good golf when you are hitting it thin, fat, shank. And that's just when you have wide stance, you have a lot of...
There's more movement.
It's tough. Whereas obviously you want to have that wider stance when you're trying to hit the ball further, like driver, you have a real wide base of support, so now it's easier to get behind the golf ball and send it. But if you have that wide base of support with the chip shot, it's really hard to hit the ball crisply, and you have to do a huge movement. You don't want that.
So are we loading up on the front before we take back? Or?
No. Are we loading up? When we're loading up, so like I was saying, pressure starts 50-50, and then with pitch shots, the pressure moves forward. With chip shots, I can see a good argument for just loading lead side and just hitting it in the ground, like getting it low and running when you're playing that low chip shot. But for a pitch shot, I prefer pressure centered and then moving forward, because that encourages the player to move forward. When you start forward and you're trying to hit it high, your brain kind of explodes and you find yourself actually going backwards, and now you're trying to go forward, but you're going back and you're fighting your body, and it's like, you get real frustrated. Whereas if you can start balanced, or even, I could even have an argument to start slightly on the back foot, but as the club's going back, start moving that pressure and that shoulder stays ahead, then you're always going to kind of strike it pretty crispy. But it's definitely balanced. Then we get forward and then through. And then as far as controlling, say, trajectory goes, yes, there's obviously loft options. You could play lob wedge instead of sandwich, but you can also then just move the ball slightly further forward, still start there, and then you can move your pressure forward, and then I'm still going to hit a nice crispy strike because I've moved my pressure ahead of the golf ball. My low point is almost guaranteed to be pretty good. And then the ball comes out higher and stops a bit quicker. And then if you want to hit a low one, it's going to chase a bit more. Same with the stance. You can kick the ball further back. Obviously, it's going to come out real low because my pressure is going to be, my low point is going to be here. But if the lie was real dodgy, you know, you could do it that way. Pressure forward, it's going to come out much lower and then chase a lot more. But I'm always having the same shift, and then see, it's going to run a lot more that one. So you're controlling your stop, same carried within 3 meters of the previous one, but it ran another 12, purely by going, that's the low runner, that's your normal one, and then the high one, the ball moves further forward. Always the same 50-50, same narrow stance, and then the shift. Obviously, at your point, all you want to do is have I'm going to hit the green every time from 50 yards.
So are we only changing the position and the stance for getting the runner and getting up in the air?
We are only changing, yes, we are only changing the ball position if we are trying to change the trajectory and the stopping power. But for a stock standard, got to hit the green from anywhere from 20 all the way to out to 60, because you can still hit this one, you're 56, you should still quite happily be able to hit it even as far as, I'd say 70 meters with the narrow stance, balanced, left arm parallel. You never really go longer than that with this move. And then there again, parallel on the other side. But you're just changing at this point, ball's always in the middle, slightly ahead, just getting used to those two big variables. With the stance, pressure lead side, and staying. You're not, you can get into the fancy stuff where you start going forward and then almost feel like you're backing up afterwards to try and increase spin and all the fancy stuff. But for the moment, you're just trying to get the stock standard moves. And it's going to feel real strange at first. This is going to be easy. But moving here and feeling like you're that far ahead of the golf ball, you're going to feel like you're going to hit the ground there every time, which is going to feel weird. But at least you're not going to fat it. And you might think you're going to thin it, but you'd be slightly surprised. It's pretty hard to thin it. You're there, way ahead of the golf ball, and it's always easy then to have a nice crispy strike. Kind of makes sense?
Yep.
All right, let's dive in.